Welcome everyone! Today we're talking about Stranger Things. As you can see by my PC, I decided I'll be using these settings or whatever for the coming videos. It's a bit messy, like my desk is a bit messy, but that's okay. Now, let's talk about Stranger Things, because I have so much to talk about and I was fairly disappointed, and I'm not even that big of a fan, so I can't imagine people that are like genuine fan, they are like happy, that we're excited to see the episode, because I've been like a big fan of Stranger Things when I was a kid. The first two seasons, I think I started watching Stranger Things when the second season had just came out. So, I was really excited for the third one, and then the third one was a bit of a letdown, in my opinion. I know it's like a hot take or whatever. I know many people liked it. That's okay. Like, that's a me thing. I didn't particularly like the third season, probably because it was so different from the first two. Again, in my opinion. I haven't done a full rewatch. My mother has watched the whole season because she watched the first one, then the fifth one, and then the fourth one, the third, and then again the first and the second. It was a bit of a mess. So I've rewatched some episodes, and the things I've seen, the scenes I've seen in the past seasons were so much better than the ones we got in volume 2. And I wanted to wait to make a video about Stranger Things as a whole, especially season 5. But then I decided that, you know what? No, because even if the last episode is actually decent, it does not make up for the shitty writing that volume 2 has suffered from. So I'm just gonna make this video and we're gonna see where this goes. As usual, if you're not familiar with how I make my videos, I just rant, okay? I have a list of things I want to say and I kind of go with the flow. I say whatever it's on my mind, and that's kind of why my videos are so long, because I have ADHD, so I tend to talk a lot and focus a lot on some details more than others. If you don't agree with my takes, that's okay. I say in every video that these are my takes, and if you don't agree, you are allowed to say whatever you think in the comments. Just be respectful and consider that in some cases I talk from my own experience. So for example, I am a queer person and I grew up queer. I grew up thinking I liked both boys and girls. For a time only girls. Now I recently came out as I raise, but that does not, I had queer experiences growing up and I had queer crushes. So when speaking of queer matters, I think I'm able to give an opinion on that. Clearly, I cannot give an opinion on, for example, racism, because I do not experience racism. I'm white. Take everything with a grain of salt as well, because I haven't watched the first seasons in a while, a complete rewatch. I haven't done that in a while. But that's pretty much all, so we can start with the proper video. Okay, let's start strong with my least favorite couple. Not least favorite, actually, probably my second least favorite, which is Vickie and Robin. And it's not that I don't like them for any particular reason. I think their relationship could have been really, really good if it wasn't for the writing, because everything developed off screen, and then we only got Vickie for a few scenes with Robin. And I liked the moment where she was like, oh, if we survive in volume 2, if we survive this thing Demogorgon, I want to take you to Enzo's, whatever, I think that was the name. I hope I didn't get it wrong. So that was cute. It was cute that they held hands and they were together and all. But they were together for 2 scenes. Another nitpick I have, which may just be me, when Robin came clean. First of all, I thought that Robin wasn't telling Vickie of the upside down and everything to keep her safe. and she was afraid that Vickie could be in danger if she found out. But then she just told her at the first problem, at the first issue, she just went ahead and told her everything about the Upside Down, Demogorgons, and all, which I like. Why didn't you tell her sooner at that point? Like, but again, I can excuse that because maybe you're like, oh, it's a tight situation. They have to move fast, so it's the fastest thing to do instead of making up excuses and stuff like that. I still don't understand why didn't you tell her sooner if you could have just told her from the beginning. Whatever. But then after Robin talks to Vickie, Vickie, her first thought is that Robin is doing drugs. Which, again, maybe it's me. I say in every video on both my channels that I have a very specific way of seeing things. But if my friend or my partner came to me and was like genuinely scared or panicking about something that to me made no sense, my first thought would not be that they're on drugs. Especially, like, I assume that Vickie has some sort of experience with people that are on drugs. Robin didn't show any symptoms of being on drugs. Like, she was talking really quick and she was panicky, but she's always panicky and talking really quick. Like, that's not a symptom, that's literally how she is. I assume that like there was the time jump of 2 years between season 4 and season 5, 18 months, whatever. So Vickie and Robin had known each other for almost 2 years. I think they've been together for at least 1 year, but almost 1 year if not. And you're telling me that a person that you've known for 2 years comes to you. First of all, you can like just miss completely that they've done drugs before, like you just missed that. But not only that, you think that at the first time they tell you something that is weird and like scary in a way, it's just they're doing drugs. It's obvious that my girlfriend that I've known for 2 years is doing drugs, and I've never noticed she's not showing any symptoms of being on drugs or of withdrawal except like being paranoid, but she's clearly doing drugs. And like, this is a nitpick of mine, but come the fuck on, okay? Like, I only understand this trope when it's done with children. Like, if a child goes to their brothers or like their siblings, their older siblings' bedroom or their parents' bedroom, and they're like, oh, there's a monster under my bed. It makes sense, especially if they're on their younger side, like 6, 7 maybe, but I have a cousin that is 8 and he does not do that. You know, if my 8-year-old cousin came to me being like, there's a monster under my bed, and he was genuinely scared, I would still kind of believe that there's something wrong. Anyway, I accept this trope when it's done with children. So if a 6-year-old kid is like, oh, there's a monster under my bed, and the parent or the sibling or whatever is like, there's no monster under your bed, you had a nightmare or whatever, that would make sense because children don't distinguish reality from fiction or like dreams, etc. So I would accept that. But with a whole adult that you've known for 2 years, I don't know, it feels like lazy writing. They could have done anything else but that. Okay, I guess. It's not that I don't want to say that I don't like the relationship between Robin and Vickie. It's just that it's badly developed. I kind of hate how they wrote the relationship as a whole. I hate that it was not addressed almost at all. Like, I just don't like how they treated the only queer relationship in a show full of relationships, like full of romantic relationships. They couldn't even give her a bit more screen time. They could, no, okay. Since we're talking about queer stuff, let's talk about the big thing. Will's coming out. Oh my god, I fucking hated my hair. I fucking hated that scene. Because at one point I did cry, but that's more on me. Like, I have certain experiences that made me cry. And nothing against people that found that scene good. That's okay. That's this is my opinion. But I cried at one point, mainly when Joyce was like, I'm not gonna like abandon you because you're gay. And that's just a me thing, because me personally, when I came out the first time, I was 13, and my coming out was not well accepted by my mother, so it's like a sore spot for me, and I think that's why I cried. But the whole scene was bad. Like the whole dialogue was not dialogue, the monologue was bad. And don't get me started on the you'll never lose me or me or me. And I could only think about that scene from Lord of the Ring.
You have my sword. And you have my bow.
And my axe.
And you'll never lose me. Or me. Or me. Or me.
Or me. Or me.
I did not like that scene, but I can break down why I didn't like that scene. First of all, a coming out, okay, when a queer person comes out, they should do that because they feel safe. I came out to my parents and my friends because I felt safe and I was happy with myself. I wanted the people closest to me to know that I found myself, and I wanted them to share my happiness. That's why I came out, and that's why most people come out, because they feel safe, at least the first time. Like now I don't even have to come out because I just treat my queerness as a normal part of my life. So like if I mention, like for me it's a bit different because I'm also trans, so it's kind of difficult to ignore my queerness, but maybe I just mention in passing that I'm a race or that I'm trans or like my pronouns and stuff. So I don't come out anymore. Like I did my big coming out when I was 13 and not anymore. But again, I did my first coming out. I came out the first time because I felt safe. And I was sure of myself, I felt safe in my skin, and I felt safe with the people I was coming out to. Will's coming out was forced. He had to come out so that Vecna couldn't use his queerness against him. That is a bad reason to come out. And it wasn't even a proper coming out. It wasn't like, guys, I want to tell you this. I want to say that I'm gay. And they didn't even use the word gay. Let's not talk about the fact that they avoid the word gay, but they merely use the word, I like the words I don't like girls, and also the F word is completely accepted, and like queer, which at the time of like when the thing is said was a slur, is completely accepted. Like using slurs against the gay character is okay, but calling his gayness gay is not okay. We cannot have that. He wasn't just saying, listen, I'm gay, that's who I am. He was begging for his family and friends to not abandon him. He was begging them to still see him as normal, even if he was gay, which I have so many things to say about that, but I will only say that I kind of hate, number one, when straight people write coming out scenes because you don't know how coming out is. But number two, I hate when comings out are centered around being normal. Because why did it have to be so, oh, I like the same things you do, I like this, and he went on for so long saying all the things that made him normal and like everyone else, and then like it was something that made him abnormal, and said, but I also don't like girls. Like I don't like how that was phrased. Like I like all these normal things, and then there's this one thing that is not normal for some reason, or like that's just a bad dialogue, a bad monologue, and they spent the longest writing that monologue. Like, what were you thinking? This is a bit out of the scene, and you can think whatever you want of Noah Schnapp. Me personally, I don't like him, okay? For reasons that I won't go into in this video because it's not about that. If you know, you know, I guess. I don't like him, but I think that putting a queer person, a gay person, through 12 hours of recording of a scene so emotional to him that he had to dissociate is not a good thing. Like, it's not the first thing that like Stranger Things production does this thing where they completely ignore the actor's well-being or comfort in any way, and it's genuinely baffling that people don't even care anymore. Like, I remember when the first allegations, I don't know if even if they call them that, because it's not alleged, like those things happen. Like, for example, when Millie Bobby Brown literally collapsed on set, that happened, and they kept the scene in the episode. I don't remember which episode it was. I think it was from season 2 or 3, and she literally collapsed when they wanted Billy's actor to call Lucas, being Caleb, I don't remember his surname, a slur. And the only reason that wasn't included was because Billy's actor was like, I'm not calling a 14 years old that, which props to him, because why would you think that's a good thing to add in your story? And why do you think that's a good thing to put a child through? Because at the time of recording, the kid was like 14 or something. Why did you write that in? I could go on with the use of slurs. I don't think slurs are necessary to make, like, I think it's a cheap tactic to make a character bad. Like, you can write a character showing that they're bad, or you can make them say a slur. Or this is really disgusting in my opinion, when Sadie Sink had to kiss Caleb, and she wasn't ready, she didn't want to, and like, but she had to because the scene. And I remember, I think I saw this interview as well when season 2 had just came out, and at the time I didn't get the proportion of this thing, but now that I'm an adult, that's disgusting. Like, you, a grown-ass man, are telling a 12, 13 years old girl that she has to kiss this other boy when she's not ready and she doesn't want to. That's disgusting, honestly. But again, it just shows that the production and the Duffers brothers do not care about the actors themselves. Going back to the coming out scene, I'm gonna put on screen, if you want, you can stop to read the extract where Vanity, I think, published this thing saying that Noah Schnapp was so overwhelmed during all the recordings of that monologue that he literally dissociated. He doesn't call it that, but he said that he had to like stop thinking of everything, and he doesn't even remember who was where. Like, he knows kinda, but he does not know what happened in that moment because he was dissociated. Like, can you understand how disgusting that is? You put a gay man through that, because I think he's like 21, through that for 12 hours, even if he didn't have to repeat the monologue for 12 hours, and maybe it was just like the shooting that took 12 hours, it means that like 6 of those hours were spent of him monologuing the same thing that was so painful that he had to erase how the whole thing happened. It's just bad. It's just bad. Alright guys, I don't know how to phrase this, but Jonathan and Nancy breaking up was the most random scene. Like, I found out they were broken up after watching the whole thing, and it's not even just me. A lot of people watched that scene and were like, what? I'm gonna tell you what I think happened in that scene, and maybe it does not make sense, but again, what I interpreted the scene as when I was watching it was like Jonathan making the unproposal and being like, do you want to not marry me? In the sense that, do you want to go at our own pace? Like, number one, they were about to die, so, you know, it wouldn't really make sense to like get married or doing a proper proposal. But how I saw it was like going against expectations, because like there's these expectations for couples, especially in the 80s. There was this expectation, and there still is, that when two people have been dating for a long time, the next logical step is to get married and have children. And what I thought that scene did was being like, let's not get married. It's clear that I want to propose only to like keep you with me, like I'm afraid to lose you, so I want to make this proposal to keep you with me. And you would only like fulfill your expectations by marrying me. So let's not get married and let's keep being a couple, but let's be our own kind of couple. Which, if that would have been the thing, I would have been really happy with it. Like, they communicated, they talked, they said what they didn't like about each other, which is like a good thing, I think. Like, even if you love someone, it doesn't mean that you have to love everything they do. Of course you love everything they are, but you don't have to love everything they do, because you're different people at the end of the day. So that would have been really good if it was like, I hate when you're like high, and I hate when you're like when you drink, but like now we're communicating, we can go past that, we can try to fix that, and we can be our own kind of couple. We can do whatever we want to do. We don't want to get married, so we are not getting married. We're still like dating, we're still together because we love each other, but we're going at our own pace. But that was not what the scene was about. The scene was a breakup, and half the people watching it did not get that. And to me, that's bad writing. Like, if you can't even write a breakup scene that reads like a breakup scene, that is not good writing. I fucking hate the writing this whole season because it's so bad. Like, volume 2 especially, but like volume 1 was already like kind of cringy, kind of corny. But I was like, you know what? Like, I don't really care. Yeah, the dialogues are a bit weird. But at the end of the day, that's not what I really care about. I care about the plot and the character dynamics and the characters themselves. Where were those? Nowhere. The Duffers also stated that it was realistic. I hate that they want to show realism, but I'm gonna talk about that later. And it was realistic for Jonathan and Nancy to break up, but wouldn't it be more realistic for Elle and Mike to break up? Because they got together 3 days after meeting each other. Elle knew like 10 words at best. She had just learned what a friend was, and she got a boyfriend. A boyfriend that she didn't see for almost the entire season 2, and that she broke up with in season 3. So again, and they got together when they were like, what, 12, I think? Wouldn't it be more realistic for a relationship that started when both the people involved were 12, instead of, you know, the characters that have been together since they were 16? I'm not saying that it's realistic for people that start dating at 16 to get married or like to be together for the rest of their life, but it's more realistic for them to stay together than a couple that got together when they were 12. This thing about wanting to show realism is so out of place. It's so dumb because they decide what's realistic and not what's not realistic. And I don't even mean like, oh, it's a show about interdimensional portal and stuff. Like, I can accept realism in sci-fi or fantasy settings, but make it consistent. You're telling me that the two characters that have, out of everyone, like the most stable relationship it's more realistic for them to break up than the couple that has been fighting for the past 3 seasons, or like not fully together for the past 3 seasons? That's more realistic? At this point, everyone should break up, except maybe Joyce and Hopper, because they're adults. Also, again, this is a nitpick, but Nancy being like, I don't know what I like, I don't know what I want. Girl, you've been the only one that knows what she wants to do. You want to be a reporter. That's been your thing since season 2. She's literally the only character that knows what she wants to be, what she wants to do. How can you say, I don't know what I like, I don't know what I want? You're the only one that knows what she wants. I could talk about how Jonathan's character has been used as a prop to elevate other characters for the past 3 seasons. That's kind of shitty because, again, the Duffers talked about Nancy and they were like, oh, Nancy needs to be on her own. What about Jonathan? What does Jonathan mean? And I don't mean to say, that, oh, if Jonathan needs to be in a relationship, they should stay together. I don't mean that. But why do they not put any thought into what Jonathan needs, right? no one cares about Jonathan. Jonathan has been completely disregarded this whole season by everyone. His only purpose was being in this love triangle, and now he's not even into that because he broke up with his girlfriend. So it's literally useless, I guess. In my notes, I wrote Hopper. I am not sure what I meant by that, but I think the fact that every season his arc is being suicidal and then learning that actually he doesn't need to sacrifice himself. So that again, his arc is always the same, which is that he doesn't have to sacrifice himself, which he learns every season, and then every season it gets resetted. Like, why are we still doing that? Why is he still willing to kill himself? And it's not even addressed. Like, if it was like, okay, yeah, this character has suicidal tendencies, clearly we need to address that, but it's not even addressed. Like, having Elle being like, oh, you were planning to blow yourself up, and him being like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, that is not addressing it. And you had so much time to address the fact that Hopper is suicidal, and you decided not to. Why? Because you don't care, because you don't actually care about the like mentally ill character that you're portraying, because you like don't really want to look too much into it. You don't care about that specifically. You just want, like, he's just doing that because he has to, because the plot has to move forward somehow. They don't care about the implications, which is that Hopper is suicidal, and he has been suicidal since season 2, but whatever. I also dislike the treatment Hopper has toward Elle. I particularly dislike the sentence that was like, oh, she needs to recharge her batteries. She's not an object. That is not the cute little sentence you think it is. And I know they think it's a cute thing because of the tone they used to say those, like that line, but saying that someone has to recharge their battery is not cute. You're literally saying that all she is a thing, an object, and all she can do is fulfill her purpose. I hate that. I hate the treatment of Elle's character as a whole. And speaking of Elle, let's move to the next point. I hated and I hate how Elle is supposed to sacrifice herself, because this girl like has not had one good day in her life since she was born, because I was about to say since she came out of the lab, but actually she wasn't having a good time before, so she never had a good time at all. She never had a good day in her fucking life. The happiest she's been, I think, is when Max took her shopping. And that's saying something. Consider her reaction when Max woke up from her 2 years coma. Okay, I'm not addressing that either. The fact that, like, I read this article, I will try to find it, where the authors were like, oh, is Kali right in saying that Elle should sacrifice herself, or is Mike right in saying that they can find a place where they can live together away from everything, etc., etc. The reason why I hate that is because what does Elle think in all of that? What does Jane think in all of that? No one seemed to care about her. Like, every time they talk about her character, they talk about her in regards to Mike, in regards to Hopper, in regards to Kali. What about her? You know, what does she think? At this time, she's being manipulated by her sister, which I don't like, because Kali was the first person that showed her that she could be herself, that she could use her weakness to her advantage, and now she's just manipulating her. I don't like that. The authors also hinted at the fact that Elle is not gonna have a happy ending, and I really fucking hope it doesn't mean that she gets to die in the Upside Down. This is a bit of a tangent, okay, but who watched the Umbrella Academy knows the feeling, how bad it makes you feel to be like, the only way for people to be safe is if you die. That's a horrible, horrible message. Especially when you're talking about kids that are traumatized, that have been traumatized for so long, and you make it look like the only way for other people to be safe and other people to be happy is for them to die. That is not a good message. That is not a good storyline. I also think it would be like, I don't want to talk about Elle in regards to Hopper, but I think it would be kind of a rinse and repeat of Hopper's daughter. Why does he have to lose two daughters? I don't understand that, and I think it would be kind of bad. I still hope that they're hinting so hard toward Elle dying, but in the end, like, the plot twist is that she does not die. I really don't like how Elle's character has been treated, because she's been sidelined. She, like, also the thing with her powers, she had to focus and learn how to use her powers. She had, like, she still has, I think, like in the first season at least, when she overused her power, she passed out. It was realistic for her powers to not, like, be limitless, and when Will got his power, he just got them. He didn't need no training. He doesn't have any side effects. That was the word I was looking for. And maybe they think making that the point is some smart writing, but it's not. I'm sorry, it's just really bad writing. And if she dies, I'm telling you right now, if she dies in the finale, I will completely abandon Stranger Things. Even now, I feel like the show I used to watch when I was a kid, and that filled me with so much joy and so much hope, does not even exist anymore. I don't see that show anymore. This is also kind of a nitpick, but why are we still learning stuff now? Like, we still have to learn what the suitcase was. Suitcase. I don't know if I'm sorry, words are escaping me right now. What was in the suitcase, okay? In Harry's memory. My brother thinks it's not gonna be brought up, because, like, there's another thing that I'm not aware of, I don't know what it is, where they explain Harry's past. So my brother thinks it's not gonna be important or brought up in the finale. I think it's gonna be brought up, but it's gonna be rushed because the last episode is only like 2 hours long. If it's not gonna brought up like my brother thinks, that's awful writing. That is not how you write things. One of the first things you learn while writing and how to be a storyteller is that you don't mention things that are not important. And of course it kind of changes based on what you're writing. For example, coming of age would have more things that are not important to the plot, because comings of age are like, they don't usually have a proper plot. Maybe they have like character A goes from point A to B and they learn something about themselves, so the plot is that. And of course there are interactions and stuff like that during that, and not everything is gonna be as important as something else, for example. But at the core, everything you add in your story has to be important. Either like it sets the tone, it tells you something about the character, it tells you something about the environment, or it tells you something about the plot itself. You do not show something that is not important to the plot, or like mention something that is not important to the plot. It's both rushed and extremely slow, and I don't know how they manage to balance that so well that it makes the whole writing ass. I talked again about all the bad stuff. I wanna say some things about what I found it was good and what I liked. First of all, I liked that finally, like, Dustin's trauma was addressed, and I liked his interaction with Steve. I cried in that interaction. It was genuinely good, and if I watch it again anytime, it gives me chills. It was so good. I liked that they kind of rekindled the relationship between Steve and Dustin. Also, this is like, it's not very important and it's not about any criticism or anything, but when Dustin was like, oh, I remember how it was like to have friends, someone that believed in me, and etc, etc. I kind of thought that he was referring to Steve before he became kind of an asshole, I don't know if anyone else like read the scene that way. And of course, Steve was like, "Oh, you're talking about Eddie again," but I don't think Dustin was talking about Eddie in that scene. I think he was talking about Steve before he focused so much on Nancy and like trying to get with her. I think again, maybe it's just me overthinking stuff, which could be true because it has been shown that the Duffer brothers are not good at subtlety. So this is a subtle thing, and maybe again they're not good at writing that. So maybe I'm making the shit up. And I think Dustin is one of the best written character in this season because everyone else is kind of NPCing around. I liked how Steve didn't try to hit him back. I think that's good show don't tell. Okay, why can they write scenes like that are good and then write scenes so confusing that people don't understand it's a breakup or a proposal or whatever else, you know? Like I really don't get it. And so yeah, if there's one thing I liked in the whole volume is Steve and Dustin's relationship. Like that warmed my heart, and probably the only reason I'm not completely dropping the show as a whole right fucking now, because I kind of want to see them have their happy ending. I thought Steve was gonna die before episode, what was it, 6 or 7. I don't think that's gonna happen anymore because that would be true. Like, it's too cruel toward Dustin. I think. I don't think he's gonna die. So yeah, that's my prediction. You can quote me on that if Steve dies, and you can make fun of me, whatever you want. You're allowed. Another thing I liked, but it's more like I didn't dislike it. The only thing I actually genuinely liked was Dustin and Steve's relationship. And one thing that I didn't dislike was Lucas and Max's relationship. But like that's pretty much it. I didn't hate it. I do hate how underdeveloped Lucas is. He, I can't remember. I can't even tell you what his arc is anymore because he doesn't have one, and neither does Erica. Like they're just there, and I can't speak on this matter too much because I'm white, so I don't have the experience. But I feel like it's kind of telling that the only two black characters are not having anything this season. Like they don't have an arc. They are not that important to the story. Like you can almost leave them out and the story would be exactly the same. I think if you leave out Eric as a whole, it wouldn't really change anything. And you shouldn't have characters that can be completely erased from the narrative and the narrative would have changed. That's again bad writing in my opinion. And I'm not an expert, when I say, oh, this is bad writing, I'm talking as I'm speaking as someone that does write, but I'm not a professional writer or I'm not a published author or anything. So it's just the things I studied for myself, for the stories I write. And I'm not a professional. I'm just saying what I think is classified as bad writing from what I know, from what I studied personally. And if we're talking about representation, honestly, Robin does not suffer as much because she has been useful this season, but it's still so loud, the lack of arc in this season for her. The same way Vickie has been like thrown in the group just like that. It's telling that the only minority character that has had an arc is Will. I don't want to see conspiracy theory, but Will is yes a minority, but he's also a straight white man. Robin is a lesbian woman. Lucas and Erica are both black people. It's weird to me. I think those are things that you notice if you're a minority yourself. If you're just a white cis straight person watching the show, you're probably gonna miss the fact that all the minority characters that are not a man has been put to the side and they've been ignored the whole season. I'm a trans guy, so that means I'm AFAB. And yes, I'm white, but I experience homophobia, transphobia, and I can sort of see the pattern when I see it, and I experience misogyny as well to the world around me. I am classified as a woman, so you know, it's kind of telling that the minority characters have been completely ignored, aside from Will, which is a white man. Woo. I wanted to talk about the positives, but again, the only real positive I can think of is Dustin and Dustin and Steve's relationship. And the only not negative thing I can think about that it's not really a positive, it's just something that they didn't destroy completely, is Max and Luca's relationship. So this is all I had to say, and I think I said more than enough. I said plenty. My mouth is dry from how much I yapped this video. I don't want to say that I lost hope, but I know if I was a bit younger and if I was more into the show and I saw the only like queer characters being sidelined, or like the main queer character being completely disregarded and having his like happy ending not being shunned by his friends and family, I would feel really bad. And I have some mutuals on Twitter and stuff, or TikTok and stuff, and I saw how destroyed they were by how the show went, because they were hoping that something was finally for them, for us, and it just wasn't. And it isn't. It's not made for us. It just used us as like outcasts to like elevate itself. But we were never the target audience. We were never the people that should have enjoyed the show. We were just a prop. We were like a stepping stone for the mainstream. We were never the main audience, the target audience that they made us believe we were. When they say the show is for outcasts and weird people, etc., they don't really mean us. With that said, I'll leave you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe, like, comment, whatever you want, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye!